The Microsoft Basement Sleep Story. The Quiet Room. Welcome. There is no rush here. There is nowhere else you need to be. Nothing else you need to do. Just this moment, just this breath, just the sound of these words settling around you like a soft blanket. Let yourself arrive. Wherever you are, in bed, perhaps, or somewhere comfortable and still, let yourself be fully here. Not thinking about tomorrow, not replaying today, just resting gently in the present. Let's begin with your breath. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Let the air fill your lungs easily, without strain. Hold it for just a moment, not tightly, just a gentle pause, and then release it through your mouth. Soft and slow, like a sigh. Good. Let's do that once more. Breathe in, slow and easy. Feel your chest rise. Feel your ribs expand. And now let it go. Let the breath leave your body on its own, unhurried, like water finding its way downhill. One more time, if you like. In through the nose. That gentle pause, and out through the mouth. Slow. Steady. As natural as waves on a quiet shore. Now, as you continue to breathe at your own pace, bring your attention to your shoulders. Are they tense? Many of us carry our worries there, bunched up near our ears, held tight without even noticing. See if you can let them drop. Just a little. Just enough to feel the difference. Let them soften and settle. Heavy and relaxed. Notice your jaw. Is it clenched? Let it loosen. Let your teeth part slightly. Your lips rest gently together. There's nothing you need to hold on to. And your eyes, if they're still open, you can let them close whenever you're ready, or let them rest, half-lidded, focused on nothing in particular. Soft gaze, soft everything. You don't need to remember any of this. You don't need to follow every word or understand every sentence or stay awake until the end. This story is not a test. It's not something you need to complete. It's simply here, a gentle companion, keeping you company as you drift towards sleep. If your mind wanders, that's perfectly fine. Let it wander. It will find its way back when it's ready, or it won't. And either way is good. Now, let me take you somewhere. Imagine, if you will, a staircase leading down. Not a grand staircase, just a simple set of wooden steps, worn smooth by years of use. The wood creaks softly under your feet as you descend, each step taking you a little deeper, a little further from the noise of the world above. At the bottom of the stairs, there is a door. An ordinary door, painted white, with a plain metal handle. You open it, and you step through, and you find yourself in a basement. The basement is quiet. That is the first thing you notice. The quiet. It's not an empty silence. There are sounds, small sounds, but they are gentle sounds, peaceful sounds. The faint hum of an old machine somewhere in the corner. The soft tick of a clock you can't quite see. The occasional creak of the house above settling into the night. The air is cool down here, the way basement air often is. There's a freshness to it, a stillness. You can feel it on your skin, on your arms, on your face. It's the temperature of calm, of shelter, of being held safely underground while the world outside does whatever it does. There is a desk in this basement. It's pushed against one wall, a sturdy wooden desk with scratches and marks that speak of years of use. Papers are spread across its surface, not messily, but with the comfortable disorder of work in progress. Notes in pencil, diagrams, columns of numbers and symbols that might mean something to someone, though you don't need to know what. On the desk there is a lamp. It has a green glass shade, the kind that glows warmly when lit, casting a circle of soft light onto the papers below. The light is gentle, amber-tinged, the color of old honey. It doesn't reach the corners of the room. The corners stay in shadow. But that's all right. The shadows are soft, too. Nothing sharp. Nothing threatening. Just the quiet dark at the edges of things. Feel that warmth for a moment. The warmth of the lamp. Imagine it on your hands, if your hands were resting on the desk. A gentle heat, like sunlight through a window on a mild afternoon. The kind of warmth that makes you want to slow down, to linger, to stay exactly where you are. And beneath your fingertips, if you imagine resting them on those scattered papers, you can feel the texture, the slight grain of the paper, the soft give of it. Some sheets are smooth, others have a rougher quality, more fibrous. Old paper, perhaps, or inexpensive paper, the kind that was common once, before everything became glossy and coated. It's okay to let your thoughts drift now. You can stay with the basement, or you can float somewhere else entirely. The story will continue, patient and unhurried, and it will be here whenever you want to return. In one corner of the basement, there is a machine. It's not large, about the size of a suitcase, perhaps, or a small television set. Boxy and beige, with rows of switches on the front panel, and tiny lights that blink in patterns you can't quite follow. This is a computer, though it looks nothing like the computers you might know today. It has no screen, or if it does, the screen shows only glowing green text on a black background, patient and still. The machine hums. It's a soft sound, barely there, like the purr of a sleeping cat or the distant drone of a refrigerator in another room. Steady, constant, somehow comforting in its consistency. The machine is working, thinking its quiet thoughts, doing whatever machines do when left to themselves. There is a chair at the desk. An old wooden chair with a cushion on the seat, the cushion faded and worn to the shape of whoever sits there. You can imagine settling into it, the way the cushion would give beneath you, accepting your weight, molding itself to your body. The way the chair might creak slightly, just once, as you lean back. And if you were sitting in that chair, looking at those papers in the pool of lamplight, listening to the hum of the computer in the corner, you would feel something. A particular feeling, hard to name exactly. Peaceful, perhaps, or focused, or simply present, aware of the moment and of nothing else. This basement, this quiet room, is a place where things begin. Not with fanfare, not with grand announcements or dramatic breakthroughs. Just quietly, patiently, one small step at a time. Imagine someone sitting at this desk, late at night, when the rest of the world is asleep. The house above is dark and still. Outside there might be rain, a gentle rain tapping against the small window near the ceiling, running down the glass in slow rivulets. Or perhaps it's simply quiet. The deep quiet of a suburban neighborhood after midnight, when even the dogs have stopped barking and the cars have stopped passing. The person at the desk is working, writing something, perhaps, or thinking about a problem, or typing slowly on a keyboard, the clicks soft and rhythmic. Click, click, click. A pause, then more clicks. There's a particular kind of satisfaction in this work. It's not the satisfaction of finishing, not yet. It's something smaller, more continuous. The satisfaction of figuring out one small piece of the puzzle, of trying something that doesn't work, and then trying something else, and then trying something else again, until finally, quietly, something does work. And you nod to yourself, make a note, and move on to the next piece. This is how things are built, sometimes. Not in leaps, but in inches. Like placing tiles in a mosaic, one by one, each one small and unremarkable on its own, but together, eventually, after enough time and patience, forming something whole. Let your breath slow even further now, if it hasn't already. Let the rhythm of the story carry you. The gentle cadence of the words, the quiet pauses between sentences, like the ticking of that unseen clock in the basement, steady and reliable, asking nothing of you. You don't need to hold on to these images. You don't need to remember the desk, or the lamp, or the papers, or the machine. They're just here to keep you company, to give your mind something soft to rest upon as it settles toward sleep. Outside the basement, the night is deep and still. The house is quiet. The street is quiet. The whole world seems to be holding its breath, waiting for morning, resting in the peaceful hours between today and tomorrow. But that's out there. In here, in the basement, there is only the lamp's warm glow, the hum of the machine, the soft rhythm of work being done slowly and carefully, with no deadline and no pressure. Just curiosity, just patience, just the quiet joy of understanding something a little bit better than you did before. This is where our story will unfold. In basements like this one, in quiet rooms, late at night, where young people sit with their puzzles and their problems, turning them over and over, looking for solutions. We'll meet two of them soon. Two young people who love problems, who love patterns, who see the world a little differently than most, and who can't help wondering, what if? What else? What next? But we don't need to meet them yet. Not quite yet. For now, let's just stay here in the quiet, in the warmth of the lamp, in the gentle hum of the machine. Let your eyes grow heavy, if they aren't already. Let your body sink deeper into wherever you're resting. Let the story hold you, soft and steady, like a boat rocking gently on a still lake. The basement will be here. The desk will be here. The lamp will be here. The papers and the puzzles and the patient, steady work, all of it will be here, waiting, whenever you're ready. But for now, just rest. Just breathe. Just drift. And when we continue, we'll go back in time just a little to a city on the edge of Puget Sound, to a school with a peculiar new machine, to two young people whose lives were about to intertwine with the future, though they didn't know it yet. But that's for later. For now, the basement is quiet. The lamp is glowing. The rain, if there is rain, is falling softly against the window. And you are here, safe and warm, drifting gently toward sleep. Two people who loved puzzles. The basement is still here. The lamp is still glowing, that warm amber circle on the desk. The machine in the corner is still humming its quiet hum. And you are still here too, resting, breathing, letting the night hold you gently. Let's go back in time now. Not far. Just a few decades. To a world that was smaller in some ways. Slower, a world where computers were rare and strange, where most people had never touched one, never seen one up close. But some people had. And for those people, everything was about to change. In the early 1970s, there was a particular kind of person who was drawn to computers. They were hobbyists, mostly. Tinkerers. The kind of people who liked to take things apart and put them back together, who liked to understand how things worked, who found satisfaction in solving problems that other people didn't even know existed. They gathered in small clubs, in basements and garages, in the back rooms of electronics shops. They read magazines with names like Popular Electronics and Byte, magazines printed on thin paper with dense columns of text and advertisements for circuit boards and soldering irons. The computers they dreamed about were not sleek or elegant. They were boxes full of wires, covered in switches and blinking lights. They had no mice, no windows, no icons, just a keyboard, perhaps, and a screen that displayed glowing green text on a black background. Or sometimes just the lights themselves, blinking in patterns that meant something if you knew how to read them. You can let this picture form loosely in your mind, or not at all. You don't need to see it clearly. You don't need to remember it. Just let the words wash over you, soft as the sound of rain on a roof, steady as the rhythm of your own breathing. In Seattle, in those years, there was a school called Lakeside. It was a private school, old brick buildings set among trees, with playing fields and a library and all the things you might expect from such a place. But it also had something unusual: access to a computer. Not a computer in the building itself. That would have been far too expensive. But a teletype machine, a device that looked like a large mechanical typewriter, connected by telephone lines to a computer somewhere else in the city. You would type your instructions, and the machine would send them through the wires, and after a moment the computer would send back its response, and the teletype would clatter to life, printing the answer on a long roll of paper. It was slow. It was noisy. It was, by any modern standard, impossibly limited. But to the students who discovered it, it was magic. Two of those students were Bill and Paul. Bill was younger, just 13, when he first encountered the teletype. He was small for his age, with sandy hair and glasses, and he had a particular intensity about him, a way of focusing on something so completely that the rest of the world seemed to disappear. When he was thinking hard, he would rock back and forth slightly, a gentle motion, almost like someone keeping time to music only they could hear. Paul was 2 years older, taller and quieter, with a calm demeanor and a deep curiosity about how things were built. He liked to read technical manuals, the denser the better. He liked to understand systems, not just what they did, but why they did it, how each piece connected to every other piece. They were different, these two, But they shared something important: a love of puzzles, a patience for problems that might take hours or days or weeks to solve, a quiet satisfaction in the moment when something finally worked. Let your shoulders soften again if they've tightened. Let your jaw relax. Let your face be still. The story is patient. It will wait for you. It will be here, gentle and steady, for as long as you need it. In the basement of your imagination, that quiet room with the lamp and the desk, you can picture them now. Two young people sitting together, papers spread before them. The lamp casts its warm light over their work. The machine in the corner hums. Outside, somewhere far above, rain is falling, tapping gently against the windows of the house. Bill is writing something in a notebook, his pencil moving quickly, then pausing, then moving again. Every few minutes he tears out a page and starts fresh, crumpling the discarded sheet and dropping it on the floor beside his chair. A small pile of paper balls is growing there, evidence of ideas tried and abandoned. Paul sits more still. He's reading something, a manual perhaps, or a printout from the Teletype, and every now and then he makes a small mark in the margin with a pen. A check mark, an arrow, a question mark. He has a habit of folding down the corner of pages he wants to return to, small triangular flags throughout the document. These are the small habits that make a person real. Not the grand achievements, not the moments that make headlines, but the little things. The way someone holds a pencil, the way they pause before speaking, the way they look out a window when they're thinking, watching the rain trace paths down the glass, following a single drop as it joins with another and runs faster toward the sill. Paul did this sometimes. Watched the rain. Let his mind wander through a problem while his eyes rested on something simple and moving. And then, after a while, he would turn back to the desk and pick up his pen and make another small mark in the margin. The teletype machine at Lakeside became their obsession. They would arrive early, before other students, to claim time on it. They would stay late until someone made them leave. They learned the language of the computer, a language called BASIC, which stood for something technical that doesn't matter now, and they wrote programs, simple at first, then more complex. A program to play tic-tac-toe, a program to calculate schedules, a program to simulate a game or solve a puzzle or do something that no one had quite done before. Each program was a small exercise in patience. You would write your instructions, line by line, trying to anticipate every possibility, every path the computer might take. Then you would feed the program into the teletype and wait and see what happened. Usually something went wrong. A misplaced comma, a number that should have been a letter, a logical error where the computer did exactly what you told it to do, but what you told it to do wasn't what you actually meant. This is the nature of programming, then and now. It's not about being right the first time. It's about being patient enough to find where you went wrong and trying again, and again, and again. Each attempt a small adjustment, a tile placed more carefully in the mosaic until finally the pattern emerges. You can drift now, if you like. You can let the details fade, let the faces blur, let the basement grow soft and indistinct around the edges. The story will keep going, quiet and steady, like the hum of the machine, like the fall of the rain, like the slow rhythm of your own breath. The years passed, the way years do when you're young, slowly in the living, quickly in the remembering. Bill finished high school and went to college, to a place called Harvard, on the other side of the country. He studied mathematics and spent time in the computer labs, but something was restless in him. Something that wanted to build, not just to learn. Paul took a different path for a while. He went to a university closer to home, then left to take a job. He ended up in Boston, not far from where Bill was studying, working for a company that made computers. Large computers, the kind that filled rooms. But he kept thinking about something smaller, something personal. They stayed in touch, these two friends. They would meet for dinner, or talk on the phone, or sit together in Bill's dormitory room, surrounded by textbooks and dirty laundry, and they would talk about the future, about what might be possible, about the small machines that were beginning to appear in magazines, kits you could order through the mail, computers you could build yourself. The dormitory room was not so different from the basement, in its way. Small, cluttered. A desk lamp casting a circle of light onto papers and books. The radiator clicking and hissing as it pushed heat into the cold Massachusetts winter. Outside the window, bare trees against a gray sky, and sometimes snow falling slowly, silently, covering everything in white. Bill would sit at his desk, tapping a pencil against the wood, thinking. Paul would sit in the one comfortable chair, a technical magazine open in his lap, reading about circuits and chips and the latest developments in the world of small computers. They didn't know, in those moments, what was coming. They didn't know that their lives were about to change, that the whole world was about to change, in ways no one could quite predict. They just knew that something was happening. Something interesting. Something they wanted to be part of. It will stay with you, gentle as lamplight, steady as the hum of a quiet machine. Paul brought the magazine to Bill's dormitory room that evening. The room was small and cluttered, as dormitory rooms tend to be. Books stacked on the desk, on the floor, on the narrow bed. A window that looked out onto the winter campus. Bare trees and patches of snow. a radiator that clanked and hissed, pushing warmth into the cold air. Bill was at his desk when Paul arrived, working on something, paper spread before him in the pool of light from a small lamp. He looked up when the door opened, and Paul held out the magazine without saying anything. Bill took it. He looked at the cover, and then he sat down on the edge of the bed and began to read. The Altair 8800 was not much by modern standards. It had no screen, no keyboard, no way to store programs permanently. You programmed it by flipping switches on the front panel, entering instructions one at a time in the language of ones and zeros that computers understand. It was tedious, painstaking work. But it was a computer. A real computer. Something you could own, something you could hold in your hands, something you could build yourself from a kit that cost less than $400. For people like Bill and Paul, who had spent years sharing time on large, expensive machines owned by schools and companies, this was something new. Something that changed the shape of what was possible. You can let your shoulders drop now. Feel them settling, releasing whatever tension they've been carrying. Let them grow heavy. Let them rest. And your forehead, notice if there are lines there, furrows of thought or worry. Let them smooth. Let your brow be calm and still, like the surface of a pond on a windless day. The two friends talked late into the night, passing the magazine back and forth, reading passages aloud, pointing at diagrams. The radiator clicked. The lamp glowed. Outside, snow began to fall, soft and silent, covering the world in white. They talked about the Altair, about what it could do, about what it couldn't do yet. And slowly, an idea began to form. The Altair, you see, could compute. It could add numbers and store information and follow instructions. But to make it do anything useful, you needed to speak its language. And its language, the language of ones and zeros, was difficult, tedious, prone to error. What the Altair needed was a translator, a way for people to give it instructions in something closer to ordinary words. What it needed was a programming language. A programming language is a little like a recipe book for a very patient, very literal cook. Imagine you wanted to tell someone how to make a cup of tea. You might say simply, "Make me some tea." And you are still here, resting, breathing, held by the quiet of this moment. The demonstration is coming. The journey to Albuquerque, the small office in the strip mall, the moment when the code would finally meet the machine it was written for. But that's for the next part of our story together. For now, just rest. Just let the night hold you. Just feel your breath, slow and steady, carrying you gently toward sleep. The mosaic is taking shape, one tile at a time. The tapestry is being woven, one thread at a time. And you are here, safe and warm, drifting in the gentle space between waking and dreaming. Small rooms, steady work. The airplane descended through clouds toward Albuquerque. Paul sat by the window, watching the landscape emerge below, brown and tan and rust-colored, the high desert of New Mexico, so different from the gray-green of the Pacific Northwest, so different from the snow-covered streets of Boston he had left that morning. In his bag, wrapped carefully in cloth, was a spool of paper tape. Thin and light, wound tight, punched with thousands of tiny holes. Each hole a 1, each blank space a 0. Together, they formed the code he and Bill had spent weeks writing, the language that would, if everything worked, make the Altair useful. He hadn't slept much on the flight. He had been thinking, going over the code in his mind, wondering if they had missed something, wondering what would happen when the tape finally met the machine. It's okay if you're drifting now. It's okay if the airplane and the desert and the paper tape are becoming soft and blurry, like a dream you're not quite in. The story will hold you. It doesn't need your full attention. It just needs you to rest. The offices of MITS were not impressive. They occupied a small space in a strip mall, sandwiched between other businesses, a massage parlor, a laundromat, the ordinary commerce of an ordinary street. The building was low and flat, with a parking lot in front and a sign that didn't stand out particularly. Inside, it was cluttered. Workbenches covered with circuit boards and soldering irons. Boxes of components stacked against the walls. The smell of solder and warm electronics, that particular scent of machines being built by hand. A few people worked at the benches, focused on their tasks. They looked up when Paul came in, nodded, went back to their work. This was not a place of ceremony or formality. It was a workshop, a place where things were made. Paul met with the founder, a man named Ed Roberts, in a small office at the back. The office was simple, a desk, some chairs, papers everywhere. Ed was a large man, friendly, with the kind of practical energy that comes from building things yourself. He had started MITS years ago, selling calculator kits through the mail, and now he was trying something bigger, something that might change everything, or might not work at all. Steady as the hum of a quiet machine, steady as your own slow breath carrying you softly toward sleep. The quiet spread. Time passed as time does, not in leaps, but in small accumulations. The office in Albuquerque grew a little fuller. Another desk appeared, then another. New faces joined the familiar ones. Programmers drawn by the same quiet fascination, the same love of puzzles and patterns. Each new person brought their own habits, their own rhythms. One liked to work early, arriving before dawn when the desert air was still cool. Another preferred the late hours, staying long after everyone else had gone, the office silent except for the hum of machines and the soft click of keys. They learned to work around each other, to share the space, the equipment, the problems, to leave notes for each other on scraps of paper, explaining what they had tried, what had worked, what still needed fixing. Let yourself drift with this image if you like. The quiet office, the scattered notes, the gentle rhythm of people working together, not always talking, just present, sharing a purpose, building something one small piece at a time. You don't need to follow every detail. You don't need to remember who did what. Just let the picture form loosely, like watercolors bleeding softly into damp paper. More computers appeared in the world in those years. Not just the Altair, but others. The Commodore PET, the Apple II, the TRS-80. Different shapes, different names, but all of them small machines that ordinary people could own. Each one needed software. Each one was a new puzzle to solve. Microsoft wrote BASIC for them, one by one, adapting the language, adjusting it to fit each machine's particular way of thinking. The work was repetitive in some ways, similar problems, similar solutions, but each version was a little different, a little new. It was like making the same recipe for different kitchens. The ingredients were similar, but every stove worked a little differently. Every set of tools had its quirks. You had to pay attention. You had to adjust. The company moved. Not far at first, just to a larger office, still in Albuquerque, with more room for the growing team. Then, a few years later, back to the Pacific Northwest, to a suburb of Seattle called Bellevue, closer to home for Bill and Paul, closer to family, to familiar gray skies and green trees and the smell of rain. The new office was still modest, a low building in a business park, surrounded by parking lots and other low buildings. But it had space. Room to grow. Room for more desks, more people, more work. Take a slow breath now. In through your nose, gentle and easy. Steady as heartbeat. Steady as the hum of a quiet machine in a quiet room. And the software was becoming something people relied on. Not always knowing it. Not always thinking about it. But there, underneath, making things work. When someone typed a document, The operating system managed the keystrokes. When someone saved a file, the operating system found a place to store it. When someone turned on their computer in the morning, the operating system woke up first, quiet and ready, preparing everything for the day ahead. It was entering everyday life, this software, becoming part of the background, the infrastructure, the invisible foundation that people built their work upon. You can let go now, if you haven't already. Let go of the story. Let go of the details. Let go of the names and dates and technical explanations. They've done their work, carrying you here, to this quiet place, this restful moment. The lamp is still glowing. The machine is still humming. The basement is still here, patient and peaceful, whenever you want to return. And somewhere, in the vast quiet of the night, software is running, doing its work, asking nothing of you. Just rest now. Just breathe. Let the steady rhythm carry you, gentle as a lullaby, soft as the rain that might be falling somewhere, steady as the light from a green-shaded lamp in a quiet room where the work never really stops, but the workers sometimes are allowed to sleep. Windows and light. The basement is still here. Close your eyes, if they aren't closed already, and let yourself return to that quiet room. The wooden desk. The green shaded lamp, glowing warm and steady. The papers scattered across the surface, evidence of work in progress. The machine in the corner, humming its soft, constant hum. Outside, the night is deep and still. Inside, there is only the gentle rhythm of thought, of creation, of patient problem solving. This is where we always come back. This is where the story lives. In the early 1980s, computers were powerful, but not particularly friendly. To use one, you had to type commands. Precise commands, spelled correctly, in the right order. The computer would respond with text, words on a screen, glowing green or amber against black. It worked, but it required a certain kind of attention, a certain willingness to learn the machine's language. Not everyone wanted to learn that language. Not everyone had the time, or the patience, or the inclination. For many people, computers remained mysterious, intimidating, something for specialists. But there was another way. Imagine a desk. Not a computer desk, but an ordinary desk in an ordinary office. It asks nothing of you. It simply continues, steady and reliable, like the hum of a quiet machine. Microsoft made other things too in those years. Programs for writing documents. Word, it was called, a simple name for a useful tool. Programs for making spreadsheets. Excel, for organizing numbers and calculations. programs for creating presentations, for managing email, for doing all the tasks that people needed to do in their work. Together, these programs were called Office. Another simple name. A suite of tools, bundled together, designed to help people get their work done. And slowly, quietly, these tools became companions. Not exciting companions, not dramatic ones, just steady, reliable presences. The program you opened every morning when you sat down at your desk, the familiar interface you knew without thinking about, the way you wrote your letters, tracked your numbers, organized your thoughts. They became ordinary. And in becoming ordinary, they became essential. Part of the background of daily life, like electricity, like running water. Something you used without noticing until you needed it, and there it was. Let the details blur now. Let Windows and Word and Excel become soft shapes, gentle sounds, names you've heard, tools you might have used, but nothing you need to hold on to. Nothing you need to remember. The story is winding down, for now. Settling, like dust in a quiet room. Coming to rest, like you are coming to rest. In homes, families use these tools to write letters to distant relatives, to help children with homework, to manage household budgets on simple spreadsheets. The computer sat in a corner of a room, a den, a spare bedroom, a kitchen counter, and became part of the household, as familiar as the television or the telephone. In offices, people stopped thinking about the software at all. It was just there, like the desk and the chair and the lamp. You turned on the computer, you opened your programs, you did your work. The tools had become invisible in the best way, so natural, so intuitive, that you forgot they were tools at all. The basement is quiet now. The lamp still glows, but lower, softer. The papers on the desk have been straightened, stacked, put aside for tomorrow. The machine still hums, but gentler, as if it too is settling down for the night. This is where the work happens. This is where it has always happened. And this is where it will continue, tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. Patient. Steady. One small improvement at a time. But for now, the work is done. For now, there is only rest. Feel your body, heavy and still. Feel the surface beneath you, holding you completely. It's just there, like the table and the chair and the window with the gray light coming through. A tool, familiar and unremarkable. She doesn't think about it any more than she thinks about the mug in her hand or the floor beneath her feet. What matters is the moment, the stillness, the small ritual of morning, repeated day after day, reliable as the sunrise. It's okay to drift now. Let the kitchen fade. Let the woman and her laptop become soft shapes, gentle impressions. You don't need to hold on to them. They're just a scene, a moment, passing through like clouds across a quiet sky. Somewhere else, a student sits at a desk. The desk is cluttered. Notebooks, textbooks, a half-empty water bottle, pens scattered like fallen twigs. A lamp casts warm light across the papers. Outside the window, it's evening, the sky fading from blue to purple to black. The student is writing an essay. The words come slowly at first, then faster, then slowly again. She pauses, reads what she's written, frowns slightly, deletes a sentence, tries again. The cursor blinks, patient and steady, waiting for her to find the right words. This is how it goes. The thinking, the trying, the not quite right, the trying again. It's not glamorous work. It's not exciting. But there's something satisfying in it. The gradual shaping of thoughts into sentences, the slow construction of meaning. The program she's using doesn't matter. It's just a space for words, a blank page that accepts whatever she types and holds it safe. She's used it so many times that she doesn't notice it anymore. It's become invisible, like the air she breathes, just there, just working, just helping her do what she needs to do. She finishes a paragraph, saves the file, a small action, almost unconscious, a habit built over years. The computer makes no sound, gives no acknowledgement. It simply does what she asked, quiet and reliable. Let your breathing find its own rhythm. You don't need to control it. You don't need to count or measure. Just let it happen, easy and natural, like waves on a shore you can't quite see but can always hear, somewhere in the distance. In a small office above a shop, a man is looking at numbers. The office is cramped but tidy. A calendar on the wall. A plant on the windowsill, a little droopy, needing water. The desk is covered in papers, but there's an order to them. Invoices in one stack, receipts in another, notes in a small notebook with a worn cover. On the screen in front of him, rows and columns. Numbers that represent things, sales and expenses, money coming in and money going out. The story of a small business told in digits and decimal points. He's not a numbers person, really. Breathe in. Gentle and easy. Feel your chest rise. Breathe out. Soft and slow. Feel your chest settle. In. Out. In. Out. There's no hurry. There's nowhere else to be. Just this breath and the next and the next. Let's move through your body now, gently, like dimming lights in a house that's settling down for the night. Begin with your feet. Feel them resting wherever they are. Feel the weight of them. Let them be heavy, completely supported. Your feet can be as still as the floor of the basement, solid and grounded, holding everything up without effort. Now your calves, your shins. Let the muscles there soften. Let them release. You don't need to stand. You don't need to walk. You can let go of all that readiness, all that tension. Your legs can rest now, quiet as the shadows in the corners of the room. Your knees, your thighs, heavy, warm, sinking into whatever is beneath them. Your legs can settle like papers coming to rest on the desk, finding their place, growing still. Your hips, your lower back. This is where so much is carried, so much is held. Let it release now. Let gravity take it. Your body can feel anchored and still in the gentle lamplight, supported completely, asking nothing of you. Your belly, let it soften. Let it rise and fall with your breath, easy and natural. No holding, no tightening. Just the gentle rhythm of air moving in and out, like the quiet pulse of a machine at rest. Your chest. Feel the space there, the expansion and release. Your breath can slow like the steady hum of the fan, constant and soothing, asking nothing, offering everything. Your shoulders. They've carried so much. Let them drop now, fully. Let them be heavy and low. The weight of the day, the week, the year, let it all slide away like water running off a smooth stone. Your arms, your hands. Let them rest wherever they've come to rest. Your fingers can uncurl. Your palms can be soft and open. Your hands can be as still as the papers on the desk, as quiet as the keys on a keyboard that no one is touching. Your neck. Let it release. Let your head be fully supported. You don't need to hold it up. You don't need to hold anything up anymore. Your jaw. Let it loosen. Let your teeth part slightly. Let your lips rest gently together. All the words you've spoken today, all the words you might speak tomorrow, they can wait. For now, there's only silence. Your eyes. Even behind closed lids, they can soften. Let them rest in their sockets, not looking for anything, not seeking anything, just resting in the gentle dark. Your forehead, your scalp. Let everything smooth. Let every line of thought dissolve. Your thoughts can settle like papers resting on the desk, finding their place, growing still and quiet. You don't need to follow the story anymore. You don't need to remember where it started or where it went. The basement is there, somewhere in your mind, but you don't need to visit it now. You can let it fade, let it become soft and distant, like a memory of a memory. The lamp is dimming, the hum is fading, the papers have all been put away. There's nothing left to do, nothing to figure out, nothing to solve. The puzzles can wait, the work can wait, everything can wait. You have arrived at the end of the story, and the end is just rest, just stillness, just the quiet that comes when everything settles. Your body is heavy and warm. Your breath is slow and steady. The night is soft around you, holding you like a blanket, like a hand on your shoulder, like the gentle glow of a lamp in a quiet room. Sleep now. Let go. The basement is quiet. The lamp glows, then dims, then fades. The hum settles into silence. And you rest. Safe. Still. At peace. Good night.